Hey friends, hope you're doing well today. So we are kicking off our family formation year, and I hope you're excited to jump into it with your children. So just remember that the packet itself that you get here has some important information on the front. This would be the lesson we'll do first, which we'll talk about in a second. Week 2, week 3, week 4, and then we'll return back for our in-person session in November. So you have 4 weeks, beginning kind of from this Sunday when you'll start the lessons, and the email that's included in this, what this video is, we'll have some more information on how that's mapped out. So the lesson that we'll be covering this week is the lesson on the Liturgy of the Word. So as this is a quick kind of overview, you'll notice that the opening section right here is just background parent information for you to read. So please just read it at your leisure. And then the actual lesson will start right here. So this first information, you can read it with your kiddos or read it to them, however you see fit. And then as you open it up, it'll begin going through some overview information on the Mass. And then right here, it'll introduce you to grab the My Holy Mass book. And that'll be the white insert that came into your folder as well. Now, you will utilize this book for the next couple of lessons worth of information. So there'll be some sections that you'll do for pages 1 through 10, which is on the Liturgy of the Word and the introductory rites, which we'll do for this lesson. And then you'll reuse this as well when we get to the Liturgy of the Eucharist, which is the lesson for the next week. So it'll give you some information on there. And then it begins going through the parts of the Mass that you can read with your children over on this side over here. Now, just a note, there are 2 major parts of the Mass. That's kind of how our bishops define it. And that would be the Liturgy of the Word and the Liturgy of the Eucharist. But there's 2 other sections, you could say, which is the introductory rites that happens right before the Liturgy of the Word. And that's actually outlined here from the entrance rite all the way to the opening prayer, or known as the collect. With the Liturgy of the Word begins with the first reading, and that's actually mentioned right here. Then we go through the Liturgy of the Eucharist, and we end with the concluding rites. And those will be talked about at our next lesson next time. So you can read through this part and go through it with your kiddos and talk about them using the Mass book as well. And then this is just more information all the way through the Creed and the intercessory prayers. Once you get through the intercessory prayers over here, then we'll begin the Liturgy of the Eucharist part of Mass, which we'll talk about, like I said, in our next lesson. From this point on forward through the remaining pages, it kind of gives some examples, just issues that would arise during family life, and have the kiddos talk about which one would be the right decision. They're very obvious, but it's just meant to be kind of talking points, and then suggestions as well as how we could make the Mass more of a focus in our life, like how we prepared, are things ready the night before, what do we do right before we go to Mass. Just simple conversations we could have with our kiddos regarding how to make Mass a little bit better engaged and stay focused on the importance of it. On the back page, just again, there's one more question you'll finish up with. And then notice over here, there is a QR code. This QR code can be scanned. That will give you access to a background parent information sheet, along with the quizzes and the quiz answers. So if you lost a page or you need another one, you can actually scan this QR code right here, and it'll bring you directly to that. The other document that was in this lesson was the green page right here. And this is just information. This is kind of like a Q&A on some basic things about the Mass. But maybe questions you may have, the questions that kids come up with, and they may be found in here. It's got some pretty great stuff. So just read this as you see fit so you can have those conversations with your kiddos. Just some things that'll pop up, for example, like why does the priest add a little bit of water to the wine? Just interesting notes of, for example, the sinks that are hooked up in the back narthex, the back sacristy. They don't drain down the sewer pipes. They actually go directly into the ground because we believe that any trace amount of our Lord's precious blood that was left in the chalices doesn't need to end up in a sewer. So it will go directly into the earth. So there's really cool little nuances that the church does, because we know to be true and believe that the Eucharist is not just bread and wine, but truly our Lord's body and our blood. So make sure you can kind of use this information to help you out from there. I hope as you go through the lessons, you find out works for your families, and please do whatever that works with you guys best. Best way I can say is to make sure that you read the lesson ahead of time. Take 15 minutes, just read through the entire thing to know what you'll be talking about with your kiddos, and to make a plan how you want to approach that information with them. Whether it's reading it with them, having them read it to themselves out loud with you, or just talking about the conversation, do what works best for your family, with the goal of not just checking off those boxes for the quiz, but so that you can actually have a great conversation about the beauty of the Mass and how we can more be engaged in the Liturgy of the Word. If you have any questions about anything, please don't hesitate to reach out, and hope you have a great time with your family. Go make saints. God bless.